Pete Backhouse. Sorry about my video freezing, but computers are what they are. I'm the code enforcement manager for the city of Gainesville. And we're going to talk about using home energy scores within the rental housing market here in Gainesville. Next slide. Thank you. Why did we settle on the home energy score? We had a program in Gainesville called landlord licensing for a number of years, which dealt with rental units, housing, single family, mostly around the university. But the commission decided to reassess that and look at it broader because of issues that had been occurring with folks afraid to complain about minimum housing issues who were renting units, but they also wanted to look at becoming more energy efficient as a community, so they explored ways to do that. Over a year's time, they held a series of hearings with the public to get input about doing this. And as a result of that, they crafted some guidelines for us to put together an ordinance regarding specific minimum housing requirements, as well as energy efficiency requirements, such as insulation, water efficient toilets and shower heads, etc., in order to make rental units more efficient in their energy usage. Next slide, please. We are funding this program by the rental fees that are being paid by the landlords. This year it's $140 to get your residential rental unit permit. And this is the timeline and how this happened. After the hearings, we actually wrapped up at the end of 2019. And then it took us until November 2020 because of the pandemic to get the final ordinance adopted. We incorporated an education campaign where we reached out to our local landlords and property managers, as well as renters, did a series of webinars to provide the information that had changed in the ordinance from what it previously was. We initially decided to go with an outside vendor to do our inspections. That has now changed because of some issues that cropped up with the way the inspections were being handled. Excuse me. The ordinance went into effect in October of last year, and we began our inspections of the units. The inspections are done by one inspector. He handles the minimum housing as well as the energy efficiency inspection. We are training inspectors to do all of that. We proposed earlier this year to bring the inspections in-house because of the issues that developed, and the commission agreed to that. We paused our inspections while we got our inspectors hired and trained to get it back up and running. And now, as of this month, we are out doing inspections again in the community. Next slide. We did about 450 inspections with all of the issues that cropped up. We're looking to average about 2,000 a year because of the number of rentals that we have. And our rentals are defined as anything that is 4 units or less. So quadruplexes or less are regulated by us. Apartments themselves are not, because they're covered by the state, not for home energy efficiency, but in terms of regulation. We have 5 code officers who are doing the actual inspections. That was determined by a staffing study that we did to come up with what would need to work in order to get the inspections and any minimum housing complaints that came in done within our community. Again, we anticipate 2,000 a year. Once the score is determined, we are required to provide it to the landlords, and the landlords are required to provide it to any prospective renters. That is written into the ordinance, so it has to be disclosed as to what the home energy score is for any given unit. Next slide. This is my contact information. Phone number and email if you have any questions specific to renting. A couple of the things that I saw come up in the chat was regarding what we do with our inspectors, and yes, they are inspectors and assessors. And the other is, how do we strongly encourage landlords to comply? We made it mandatory in the ordinance that if they are going to get a rental permit, they have to come into compliance with the energy standard. So there's no option there. If they want to rent it, it's got to meet the standards, and we're inspecting them. Every unit has to be inspected at least once every 4 years. So we will make sure that they come into compliance. As a side note, the energy efficiency standards will be increasing in 2026. For example, we're going from R19 insulation now to R30, and everybody is aware of what those increases are. Many of the property owners are planning accordingly. Thank you.